Right, good afternoon all. This is just a little quick update. I hope this turns out alright, I haven't checked it, but anyway, just a small update. I've posted one or two on little small videos on Facebook. I do post to a YouTube channel, but it's not a great mission statement, but it's there. But one thing, time and time again, it comes back with Land Rovers. And any particular Land Rover, they're all the same. These people look at the job I'm doing and think to myself, get a new chassis, Well, if I've got pots of money, then yeah, it's probably an option to get, a new chassis. But it comes back to one or two simple solutions that, a new chassis is about £3,000. This is of September 2016. So £3,000 for a chassis. But then when you think you have to refurb or replace other bits and pieces on I'm doing the stage one, on the stage one, it becomes like somebody else has mentioned, like I've often said before, it becomes like a trigger's broom. Is that when does it become a completely new refurb where you're replacing everything, which is fine. I've got no complaints and no truck with that at all. But my vision of this was to try and get this to spend as little as possible, but to still get it working and on the road. Then, if I felt as though that it was worth, then to do a rolling refurb. In other words, that if I felt then that it was worth doing, because I still haven't worked on the engine or the gearbox or anything else, mainly it's all, as you say, chassis and bodywork. If the chassis and bodywork is done and the engine works out okay and it turns out okay, then possibly then yes, invest £1,400 in a bulkhead and spend a week changing the bulkhead. That's a good refurb. Yes, then spend another £200, £300, £400 on doors and new tops, which I've got to buy new tops anyway. But yes, spend it. But you've got a rolling chassis to start with, because the biggest, I don't know whether people understand this, and I'm not saying you're idiots by any stretch of the imagination. When I started this, I bought it for a set price. I'm quite happy to say what the set price was, but that's neither here or there. But I have spent approximately, so far, if anybody's watched the videos, over £2,700, and what have I got for it? So with a purchase price, work it out, that's £4,000 plus. So be aware of that. And so when somebody says put a chassis on at £3,000, then put a bulkhead on at £1,400, put some new doors on, put this on, put that on, it absolutely makes it too expensive. If I was doing this to keep for 20 years, fine, but at my age I'll be lucky to see 20 years. So what I want to see is a rolling Land Rover in the next few months that I can appreciate for a good few years possibly, and then work from there. I'm sorry if this is a bit of a lecture, it's not meant to be, but it keeps coming up time and time again, getting a chassis. I'd love to be able to put a chassis on, but refurbing and everything else, it's not just a £3,000 chassis, and don't kid yourself. And I know one or two people, and they're great, and they've given me some nice ideas, and I've seen them. This is not the first time I've done one, this is about the second time, and the money just disappears. It disappears. So anyway, that's one of the ones I just want to put a tail in, so not too long. At the moment now I'm doing the front chassis section, and I'll do a few vids on that, and I'm just setting that up now. So hopefully that clears a few things up. I know it's a bit of a issue, but there you go. Power to you people if you can afford a new chassis, and do it. It ain't a problem. And I'm limited to time. I've got to move in the next few months, so I lose my space, I lose everything. So the vehicle's got to be up and running. It's as simple as that. If it isn't up and running, I have no idea. Cheers, all the best. Right, this is my chassis section, and the reason I bought this is because these arms, the fronts are longer, because the other one comes about here and these are a bit longer. The only sad thing about it is all this here I've got to cut out. It's not needed, it's not wanted, and then I've got to put these in. So these, one fits in on the side there, and these are outriggers, so that I don't want it. Oh, blimey. And then I've got to measure where the cross member is. So the cross member goes across here at the front. It's just a simple tube. I've put a bracing bar across here to keep this level, and pinched it tight and checked the measurements. So what I'll be doing is cutting this section out, cutting that section out, cutting that off, marking up where the 4-inch box tubing is going to go from here to give me a rough idea. The box tubing can also be used to make this section here for the radiator. So if I cut the box tubing and cut and weld, that'll sort of give me a bit of an idea where that's got to go. The only other thing is this section here, this so-called foot, is smaller, because on this one, as you can see, the foot goes all the way around here. But I can still get round that by the box tubing when it comes down, and there's left an opening here. I can just put a plate on to seal the end of the box tube. I'll get around it somewhere or other. Can't see it's going to make much difference. Anyway, that's the recipe for the time being, and I'll take you along and see what I'm doing. Cheers. Right, and this is the cross member which I've just picked up from the local steel stockholders. This piece of steel, 12 kilos in weight, and plenty big enough, and it's 3mm. It was £12, so there you go. So I've got to cut and shape that as well a little bit, but I'll give it a whirl, you know. It ain't impossible, is it, really? So if I make a mistake, I'll cut that and get 2 out of them if I wanted to. Anyway, there you go, folks. Back to it. Cheers. Right, as you can see, I've cut the box tube. So it's a little tight there. Look, it's a little tight the other side. You don't want it too small. You can always grind that gently. You have the top flap on, so that it will sit on the top here. Okay. It's got to be set back, so what I'll do now is I'll put the grinding disc on, and I'll just nip that back where it has to be so it sits there. Then I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So I hope you've got the idea of that. Okay, cheers. Excuse the plane going on. So you get the general idea. It slips in between the two, here and here. Now all I've got to do is make sure these measurements are correct. It's not in yet, by the way. Now I've got to grind off a little bit of this section here and here to cover this section here, because this is sticking out. So I've got to get that measurement right for it to drop down to hit the top here at the back. So there you go, and then tidy this edge up. So I'll do that next and see where we go from there. Okay, you got that? Cheers. This is the underneath, as you can see. So it does actually slot in there and there. So all I've got to do is just come down a little tiny bit here, a little bit tiny bit there. It's not square at the front here, and this is a square box tubing, so give or take. Okay, that don't matter. So all I've got to do then is adjust this little back section here by grinding this off, making a nice pretty shape. Same as that side. Now if that's about right, then all I've got to do is cut it along here and bend this flat so it touches here. So I've got to mark here and mark there, cut out that section, and then just squash this flat, and that's how it's fitted, I think. Anyway, cheers folks. A bit more grinding, but you can see where I've cut a slit here, and then this top then will close down on that. It's only just in there just to show you. I've got to take that out, and I've just got to grind this top off a bit more to match this. So just do that, and then I'll come back to you. So there's a lot of cutting and grinding, I'm afraid, to make this, but can't get them anywhere else. Cheers. Right, that's hopefully how everything's going to be tapped and bent and shaped a bit there. But generally speaking, that's roughly the cross member. Need to tack weld underneath there and squidge it down, and then squidge it down there, and then square it up. I say that's about it. That sounds good, but that's it then. So that should be okay. I'm happy with that. Cheers. God, I'm not good at welding. Anyway, that's
khaki welding at the front, which is important. But I've come to try and tack this on here. This is 3, this is 2.5 I think, but anyway I can't get it to go because I'm not that good, so I'll have to see somebody if I can just help me along there to give me some instructions on to just tack around there. I'll try to weld this bit first to blend it in, but I'm not that skilled, so I'll try another go. Other than that, I'll try and get someone to come and do it for me, or take it to someone to get it done. Anyway, don't give in, but as you say, it's got to be right. Cheers.